Happy New Year, everyone. And it's gone. Why I'm gone? Connecting. So let's see if we can start. Anyway, today we are looking at a management model that puts everything together. Okay. So this management model is called Hoshin Kanri Forest. This is Japanese, so I will translate. Hoshin means direction. Okay. Needle, if you wish, it's written like this in Japanese. You don't need to learn this. This is just for the record. So this is needle. It means direction, and what it means is that you follow a certain set of strategic goals. Okay, like a compass. Kanri means management. Okay, you can write kanri like this in Japanese. And this means that we are talking about leadership or management, and forest is English. You can use also the Japanese word called mori. This means we're talking about hierarchical networks, or a bunch of trees called meaning forest. Okay, the Japanese kanji for it is like this. This one's easy. There are many trees together. Okay. So basically, here the direction is being given by the strategic goals. Später. And well, here we follow a certain semantic. Okay. This is just is something that is not official. Okay, it's just a way of talking. But usually people talk like this about when doing these maps. If this is the process owner, whatever is to the right is the customer. Whatever is to the left is the supplier. Okay, so you have from left to right, you have the value stream. Okay. Then if you go below, you have the workers reporting to the process owner. Subordinates, I guess, is a better word. Subordinate. Mitarbeiter, okay. And looking up, you have the leader, the boss, call it leader or superior, supervisor. Okay, so die Führungskraft. And this is just, let's say, nomenclature. It's not something that is official. It might be different somewhere else. It's just the way I like to look at it. Okay. Anyway, what we're going to look at is how to deploy the strategic goals, okay, into the organization with a very simple methodology. Okay, that looks like a tree, resembles a tree. So imagine you have the board, management board, and the management board is defining some strategic goals. Okay. This can be anything like we want to grow, we want to increase quality, we want to get better in our cash flow, anything you like, okay? So this also changes from company to company depending on many different aspects. But the board defines the strategic goals, and the board pours the strategic goals into the CEO. Okay, so this is the CEO. And the CEO gets these strategic goals, and the CEO is not alone. He wants his organization, her organization, to align, to support him or her to achieve these goals, right? This is what the CEO is looking for. He looks for alignment. We looked at this in the first or second lecture. Well, in order to do so, he breaks down the strategic goals into let's say, more understandable and manageable goals for the factory manager, who is going to report to him on a monthly basis following our communication standard known as CPDNA. We know this from the very first lecture. Okay? You remember maybe. If you don't, look at it because it's important for your exam. Anyway, the factory manager is reporting to the CEO, and that's why we put the CEO on top, following the symbols we did before. And this is being done, this is being performed through a communication standard called CPDNA. We know that from the lectures before. In order to do so, we are using the return on invest as a KPI. We're using the cash flow. We're using the EBIT. What is EBIT mean? You know? Yeah? Yes. Very good. So this is being reported every month. Actually, it means earnings before income tax. But well, anyway, you see the logic. The factory manager reports to the CEO, first on the KPI, then dealing with the process, then doing some prioritization, analysis, describing some actions, and then in the end having some standards. This is of course very strategic level. Yes?
Muss da nicht noch ein Pfeil vom CEO auch zum Factory Manager? Dann muss ihm ja die Ziele, die Strategieziele noch sagen, oder nicht?
CEO get die strategische Ziele bekommt die strategischen Ziele von oben und er bricht sie runter auf die 3 KPIs. Wie, gucken wir uns später an. Und dann der Werkleiter steuert dann ein CPD-Regelkreis. Okay? Bitte unbedingt schauen. Okay? Das heißt, das wiederhole ich jetzt nicht, das Ding heißt CPD-NA. Ja. Ich sehe es in den Augen, dass es so ein bisschen weit weg ist, nebulös, okay? Aber bitte unbedingt danach schauen, okay, für die Prüfung. Okay. Anyway, so let's continue in English. We have the factory manager here, and the factory manager is not alone. He has his people, and he has his production leader, production manager, okay, who is also reporting to him or to her. Through the same standard, and it's important. It's very important to say that we are using always the same communication standard, and this is the condition of existence of this method. Okay, if you don't use the communication standard, you can forget about it. Okay, so factory manager keeps on with the logic and deploys his KPIs into the cascade in the hierarchy. And now we look at ppm, parts per million. We look at lead time. And we look at output. Okay? And this takes place twice a month. Okay? You see from the strategic goals, from the board, we are breaking it down, and the production leader is closer to quality, to ppm, is closer to lead time, is closer to output than the CEO, right? So he can act upon it. What you try to do is you try to get your process owner close to the KPIs he or she can influence. Okay? Does it make sense? Wenn irgendwas nicht verständlich ist, dann bitte auf Deutsch, okay? Einfach nur fragen, so wie vorhin. Kein Problem. All right. So, and then the production leader has a Meister, let's say a supervisor. Who reports to him in the same manner, same way. This makes things easy because we standardize the communication, we get through, and we can communicate throughout the organization and create a network. Okay, and this is the crucial part. Here we are getting a network. Whenever you see a network in your management organizational design, you know what you have to do. Clustering coefficient and average path length. So we have here also our weekly. Now we go once a week. Okay. You see that the frequency is increasing. When we go down the hierarchy, why is increasing? If you're the boss, you want your people to be able to react, to do things faster than you, so that they can adjust to whatever you're telling them. If you are the boss and you are acting, if you are rolling your cpDNA faster than your people will go crazy. They will not know if they're going to the left or to the right. Okay? So you need to be giving them time to adjust. That's why you go slower. The higher you get, you go slower, more strategic, but slower. Okay, so here we're looking at change over time, or we are looking at the, I don't know, how do you say, Krankheitsquote, sickness rate. And we look at the inventory, work in progress. Okay? So what do we have here? What we have here is a hierarchical network that goes from the CEO all the way down through the production part of the organization. And this we call a tree, because it's a hierarchical network, we call a tree. Okay? So this is what we call our Hoshin Kanri tree. Okay? Make sense? I mean, I'm trying to tell you all this by making the picture. It's more powerful than if I would show you just the picture. Okay? So if you see how it is becoming, I think it's more understandable. That's why I do it like this. Any questions? I don't know, online there is no one. No, there's Katerina. Katerina, you have any questions? You're cool? All right. If you have any questions, just ja, so bitte.
Wir haben jetzt diese 4 Männchen aus dem Kästchen rausgenommen, oder? Also Supervisor, Supplier.
Die hier?
Genau, oder hat es jetzt linken und rechts nichts zu tun?
Nee, ist nichts zu tun. Das ist nur eine Legende.
Okay, alles klar. Nee, dann passt. Dann hat es schon eine Frage gegeben.
Ja, Legende. Just so that you know what is up, down, left, right. Yeah. Any questions? Fragen bitte? Okay. So now imagine. Well, first of all, this is the first vector of expansion of our organizational network. Okay? So you see, we are expanding our network, and the first vector of expansion is the hierarchy. Is the hierarchy. Why is that? Because your boss is the most important person in the company. Why is that? Because your boss has the key to your resources. Your boss tells you what you can and what you cannot do, because he or she is telling you what you can have and not have. On time, people, money, bam, bam, bam. Okay, so you first need to align with your boss. If you're not in alignment with your boss, leave the company or leave the boss. Okay? You cannot fight against your boss. In the end, in the best case, you will both get fired. Okay? So don't fight against your boss. If you don't like the boss because he's not morally okay, or he's doing something that you don't like, or he's treating you badly, just leave the boss or leave the company. Okay? Don't fight against, because you cannot win. You will just get sick. Okay? So the first vector of expansion is the hierarchy. What happens if now the production manager has a problem with his quality, the PPMs, and he is doing his analysis, and he does his analysis here and finds out that the one action he needs to do is to get to back to one supplier, okay, who is not delivering good quality. Well, the way to do it, the proper way to do it is not for the production manager to call the supplier. You don't do that. You let the appropriate department do that. Okay, so you have a supplier management department or a logistics department dealing with it. So you have your supplier management. You have any questions? Are you sure? Ich kann es nochmal erklären auf Deutsch, wenn irgendwas nicht klar ist. Ja, dann der Kollege hat eine Frage oder was? Ach so, ja, okay, alles klar, gut. Na dann, mein Gott. Yeah, also we look at here at the supplier manager, and the supplier manager starts developing or delivering some KPI to his colleague horizontally. Okay, horizontally on the value stream flow. For instance, about changeover rate. Turnover rate. Umschlaghäufigkeit. Okay? To get it better, to get the inventory of the supplier in place, right? So what you do here is you get your second vector of expansion here. Second vector of expansion of your network. Let's get another color. I don't know, this one. Second vector of expansion is the value stream. So always remember, when you do an optimization, when you do a project, when you do something, always get alignment with your boss. Then get alignment with your project. Okay? Or with your process. Do not do it the other way around, because then you're fucked. If you're not in alignment with your boss, you lose face with your project people, with the process people, because you ain't gonna do something against your boss's will. Okay? Does it make sense? Ist verständlich?
Vielleicht nochmal die Rolle des Supply Managers.
Ja.
Dass der jetzt dazwischen.
Ja, jetzt stell dir vor, der Produktionsleiter hat Probleme mit der Qualität von einem Lieferant.
Okay.
Der erkennt das hier, ppm. Was macht der? Er ruft den Supply Manager und sagt, lieber Kollege, bitte klär das für mich. Kümmere dich um deinen Lieferant, weil der liefert Scheiße. Also mach doch bitte mir ein CPD-nah. Du darfst an mich berichten, auch wenn wir auf gleichen Ebene sind. Du berichtest an mich, damit dann die Problematik dann weggeht.
Das heißt, der Factory Manager, der schlägt sich nicht mit den Lieferanten sozusagen zu, sondern sagt dem Supply Manager und er soll ihm dann berichten.
Sollte er an den Produktionsleiter berichten. Ja.
Okay.
Was passiert, wenn jetzt der Kunde ein Problem hat? Jetzt hier der Kunde. So. Der Kunde bekommt nicht gute Teile geliefert. Der Werkleiter kümmert sich darum. Qualität, Kunde. Okay? Ist verständlich. Aber den Wertstrom entlang. Immer mit dem gleichen Standard. Das ist das Wichtigste. Okay? immer mit dem gleichen Kommunikationsstandard. Es ist wie mit der IP-Adresse von Rechnern. Hätten wir nicht IP-Protokolle, hätten wir kein Internet. Weil wir könnten nicht die Pins machen zwischen den Rechnern. Man könnte nicht miteinander kommunizieren. Das hier ist das Gleiche. Okay? Einfach ein Kommunikationsprotokoll, das uns ermöglicht, ein Netzwerk zu schaffen. Ohne das gibt es kein Netzwerk. Und dann die Organisation zerschmilzt wie ein bisschen Zucker im Wasser. Okay? So, der CEO hat nicht nur einen Baum, der Supply Manager, das war jetzt der erste Baum, aber der Baum von dem Produzent, das ist jetzt der Baum von der Logistik wegen mir. Okay, da gibt es unzählige Möglichkeiten. Und die Bäume berühren sich durch diese Querbeziehungen als die Bäume in einem Wald. Wenn man nach oben guckt im Wald, sieht so aus, als ob die Bäume sich berühren würden, oder? Aber die tun es nicht. Es sieht nur so aus. Und hier ist genau das Gleiche. Okay? Also die Bäume bauen mehrere hierarchische Netzwerke in den Abteilungen und dann gibt es Querbeziehungen den Wertstrom entlang. Je stärker ich bin in den Wertstrom, desto leistungsfähiger ich bin, weil mein APL runtergeht und mein Clustering Coefficient hochgeht. Okay. Und es ist immer wichtig, wenn ihr in eine Organisation reingeht und demnächst geht ihr rein in Organisationen, das Netzwerk in der Organisation erstmal zu verstehen, messbar zu machen, wie die Prozesse ausschauen und wie diese Beziehungen überhaupt stattfinden. Okay. Immer wichtig. APL, Clustering Coefficient. Beide Kennzahlen geben euch die, ich mache es jetzt auf Deutsch, weil ich weiß noch nicht warum. Both KPIs are going to give you the clue. Okay? So. Some KPIs that are important for your future endeavors, but also important for the exam. ROE, return on invest, CF, cash flow, okay, EBIT, earning before income tax, ppm, parts per million, lead time, LT, okay, output, so changeover time, is the time you need to adjust the machine from one product to the next one. Yeah, and turnover rate is also important. Of the inventory WIP, meaning work in progress. Okay. So this is the first part of the business here. Are we cool? Do we have any questions? Katerina, do you have any questions? You're cool? Okay. Anyway, well then let's try to find out how to, your question before, okay, how to find out what KPIs belong where. Okay, and this is a more tricky questions. I am going to do just one example, little example. You will need to if you're interested, okay, for the exam is a good preparation. You can do it with more, okay, of the KPIs. I will do it just with 3 KPIs. So we do something called a heat map, okay. And what a heat map does is it allows us to decide what KPIs are going to be dealt with from a process owner perspective, and decide if we're going to report them to our boss or if our people is going to report those KPIs to us. Okay, so we need to do a heat map for every level. Imagine here the production manager needs to decide if he's going to have, let's say, ppm lead time or changeover time. Okay, so from a process owner perspective, in this case we take the production manager. We decide what KPIs are relevant in the hierarchy. Okay? So in order to do so, the first step is to put the KPIs in a list, lead time, changeover time. We do a matrix, okay? And then we say, well, the question to ask is always the same, so you don't need to remember a lot. My recommendation is that you do this exercise for a lot of KPIs so that it just gets into the brain. But as I said, you decide. So the diagonal is shaded, Diagonale ist schattiert und die Frage ist immer die gleiche. Wie beeinflusst KPI sub I den KPI sub J? Immer so. Okay? Die Frage wird beantwortet mit einem 0, kein Einfluss, mit einem 1, ein schwacher Einfluss, mit einem 2, ein starker Einfluss. So, wie beeinflusst ppm Lead Time? Wenn die Qualität schlechter geht, also die ppm gehen hoch, erhöht sich die Durchlaufzeit? Ja?
Wenn man sie nachbessern muss, dann ja.
Klar, muss man nachbessern, also es ist ein starker Einfluss,
Ja.
also strong. Wenn if quality is going bad, so ppm going up, is a changeover time changing? No, kein Einfluss. If the lead time is increasing, is the quality going bad? This relationship. If lead time is increasing, is the quality going bad? Yes, why? Here you need to put a 2, but why is that? When lead time increases, then automatically your WIP is going to increase. And then it takes more time to correct quality issues. For that reason, the PPM also increases. It just takes more time to resolve the problems because you have more inventory in the pipeline. Okay? When lead time increases, is your changeover time increasing? No. So 0. When your changeover time increases, is your quality increasing or decreasing? Strongly, or I would say a 1. But when with your changeover time increasing, your lead time is increasing a lot. That's why you get a 2. Okay? So this logic you need to develop. And this I am going to ask later on in the exam. So you have the list. Some of this I will pick, and you need to be doing this logic. Okay? Wie bitte? Changeover time ist die Rüstzeit. Die Zeit, die ich brauche, um eine Maschine umzurüsten, zum Beispiel. So now we build, as a second step, we build a sum of every column and the sum of every row. Okay? So here we have 2, here we have 2, here we have 3, here we have 3, and here we have 4. Yeah.
Is the question always, is this KPI increasing? Because you said just always KPI increasing.
You can say also decrease. We're just looking at the Einfluss, at the relationship. Doesn't matter if you increase or decrease.
So
Die Abhängigkeit. Okay. So just look at this row. What does this row means? It means how PPM is influencing the rest of the KPIs, right? Because we just read it like this all the time, right? How does PPM influence this and that? Correct? So the row, the sum, is the importance of the PPM as a process KPI. Importance as a process KPI. Otherwise, the column is the importance of PPM being passive, being influenced by the rest. Wie werde ich beeinflusst? Passiv, als PPM. Das heißt, the sum here is the importance of the KPI as an output KPI. So I guess we have a 0 here. Okay? So as a rule, output KPIs are usually reported to the boss of the process owner. And process KPIs are usually, it's always, almost always like this, but not always, usually being reported to the process owner. Okay? So we will see. Is the changeover time a strong output KPI? No, it's the weakest. So it will not be reported by the production manager to the top. It will be reported to him. His people are going to report changeover time to him. Is, let's say, lead time, because it's a strong process KPI, is, let's say, lead time a strong output KPI? Yes. So that's why lead time is going to be reported by the production manager to the boss, to his boss or her boss. Make sense? So process KPIs, you get reported. Output KPIs, you report. Okay. Process KPIs, Prozesskennzahlen werden an mich berichtet, Output-Kennzahlen werde ich berichten. Schreib's auf, ist wichtig. Okay? Output, KPIs, I will report. Process KPIs will be reported to me. Okay, that's the rule. Are you cool? Yeah.
Das meint jetzt, dass mein Boss mir sagt, wie viel ich produzieren muss. Oder?
Nee.
Oder was meinen Sie jetzt genau mit Prozesskennzahlen?
Mein Chef sagt mir, jetzt, wenn ich jetzt der Produktionsleiter bin, mein Chef sagt mir, ich muss die Ausbringung verbessern, den Output. Ich sage meinem Mitarbeiter, er muss sein Changeover Time verbessern. Nicht wie viel. Wir haben nicht von Zielen gesprochen damals beim CPDNA. Bitte schau nach. Okay?
Ja.
Okay? Questions? Katerina, do you have any questions? Do you understand what we're talking about, or? Yes? Okay. Good. We're cool then. Fragen bitte. So we just made a little example, but make sure you repeat this with this list for the exam, okay? Does it make sense? Questions? Nobody? Okay, then we're good to go. Thank you for your time.